Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog. I just got home from the doctor's office. And, I was spending my time doing 40 and a 55 because the person in front of me decided they were going to do, 15 miles below the speed limit. I had a lot of time to think about this, and I kind of wanted to talk about it because there seems to be a narrative out there about centers in the NBA that the center position doesn't matter. And it really depends on who you ask, it seems. It seems like a lot of people either love the center position and think it matters, or you have people who hate the center position, think it doesn't matter, and think it holds absolutely no value, which couldn't be any further from the fucking truth. And I'm going to make an argument and say that the center position is probably the most important position on a basketball team to get right. Because the center position, and I'm going to make this comparison, and I don't really care if people like it or not. The center position is like the quarterback of your team, okay? And what I mean by that, before people lose their fucking minds in the comment section, what I mean by that is in the NFL, you have quarterbacks that need to fit your system, right? Or you have a system quarterback, right? Your quarterback has to be able to run whatever system you're running, right? Or you plan to implement. The same thing holds true with centers in the NBA, whereas if your center does not fit the fucking system you are trying to run, you are probably not going to be a successful basketball team. Now, it is very rare that this happens, but there's really no such thing in the NBA as having like a mid-tier center and succeeding unless you got somebody really good at the other front court position, okay? Unless you got somebody good at point forward or power forward or whatever you want to call it, the four, okay? There are teams in NBA history that have gotten away with winning championships without having a good center. But if you look at all those teams, most of them have 3-star caliber players on their team, or even 4 if you're talking the Golden State Warriors, okay? If we look at the 08 Celtics, they had Kevin Garnett, okay, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce. If we go to the Miami Heat, they had LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. If we go to the Golden State Warriors, they had Steph Curry, Clay, and Draymond Green, and eventually got Kevin Durant, okay? Even the Cavaliers that preceded that, or during that era as well, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they had LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love. But if you're going to be one of these teams that does that, you need to have, like, you can get away with that, but if you're a team that doesn't have that, where you don't have 3-star players, you need to get the center position correct, or at least the power forward position, okay? Even if we look at, for example, the Toronto Raptors, when they won, I think it was 2019, they had Kawhi, Pascal Siakam, and Kyle Lowry. If you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, who won recently, the Milwaukee Bucks, they've got Giannis, was it Drew Holiday, and Chris Middleton, and they won. And yeah, they had Brook Lopez, who was pretty good too, but he's pretty much delegated to shooting threes, or relegated to shooting threes. I think you get my point. But then, okay, those are the teams that can get away with it. But then you got your teams that can't, okay? And the teams that can't, okay, all have a guy that is solid at the center position. And the center is the most diverse position in basketball at the current point in time. I don't care what anybody says. It is the hardest position on a basketball team to just plug and play. Okay? That's why it's the most important position, because it's not plug and play. It's not, oh yeah, let me just trade for this fucking guy and plug him. Where, like, you can do that with every spot from 1 through 4. Okay? Like, pretty much every player from point guard to the point forward or power forward position, whatever you want to call it, is plug and play. And it will work 90% of the time. Depending on how team chemistry is and how much star power you got and stuff like that, most times it will work out. You can put Draymond Green on pretty much any team in the NBA, and he's going to do for them what he's doing for the Warriors. Pascal Siakam's the same way. You can put Pascal Siakam on pretty much any other team in the NBA, and he's going to do for them what, you know, he's already doing for the Raptors. Same thing with a guy like Zion Williamson, Giannis Antetokounmpo, these guys, okay? Anthony Davis. You can plug them on pretty much any team, and they're going to continue to do what they are good at. Centers, on the other hand, not so much, Okay, like, yeah, in the NBA you got point guards that are like score first or pass first, and at the shooting guard position you've got guys that it's like they either shoot threes or they do a little bit of everything. Same thing with the three position is usually always guys that are capable of a little bit of everything. Maybe they're like a 3-and-D type of guy, but that, like, at the 3 position, you're either 3-and-D or you can do it all. Same thing at the 4 spot, it seems. We're getting to that spot now where everything is like 3-and-D, or you can do a little bit of everything, or you can facilitate a little bit. Once you get into those front court positions of the 4 and 5, suddenly shit starts getting pretty diverse, okay? Suddenly you got your Jonathan Isaacs of the world, your Draymond Greens of the world, and, your Pascal Siakams of the world, guys, your Keegan Murrays of the world, like, your guys that shoot threes, and play defense, or your guys that can strictly play defense, or your guys that are capable of a little bit of everything, right? All of a sudden, it's a completely mixed bag, all right? When you get to the 5 spot, that mixed bag becomes even more fucking mixed, okay? And just to go through a couple of them, right? You got your 3-and-D centers in the NBA, which right now I guess are guys like Chet Holmgren. You've got Miles Turner, Brook Lopez, right? These are like your 3-and-D guys who are pretty much almost exclusively always going to shoot threes and block shots. Then you got your unicorns and Victor Wembanyama, who just do fucking everything apparently, which is slowly and surely going to become more of a thing. Guys who can do a little bit of everything. You've got Victor Wembanyama. You've got Nikola Jokic, you've got Joel Embiid. These are your guys that can do a little bit of everything, right? Then you've got your guys in the NBA who it's like, yeah, they're pretty much known exclusively for defense, right? You got your Bam Adebayos, you got your Walker Kesslers, you've got your Rudy Goberts, right? But then you've also got your centers that's like, they're alright, but they're not great. You know what I'm saying? Your Nikola Vucevic's of the world. Your Jonas Valanciunas of the world. The guys who could, the guys like that who could go someplace else and probably play even better, get more points, more buckets, and look like a better player. Your Domantas Sabonis of the world. Your guys like Sabonis is good at a little bit of everything, but he can't shoot very well. He's not a good 3 shooter, not even really a great mid-range shooter, not even really a great free throw shooter, but he can average you a double-double and go out there and dish you like 5 or 6 assists a game and get you to the 3rd seed in the West, apparently, according to last year. Then you got your guys who are like your lob threat double-double guys, right? You got your Jalen Durans of the world, or, that's recently become like a thing now again, is like lob threat centers. Like Jalen Durans is probably the main one. Who else do I look at as, I can't really think of anybody off the top, but Derek Lively, like centers are Mark Williams, like these guys are starting to become more prominent again. And then you got your average low ball centers, guys like Jakob Poeltl, Ivica Zubac, and stuff like that. Like, the center position is making a comeback. Regardless of what you guys think about that or not, the center position is making a comeback, and it's making a comeback in a big way. The center position is quickly becoming the most important position in basketball, especially when you look at the MVP race, okay? Like last year, the MVP race was between 2 centers and Giannis, okay? It was all front court players. It was Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, and Giannis. This year, it's already Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid. So this narrative that centers simply don't matter and are like deplorables and just throwaways and shit like that is simply not true. Okay? We are very quickly getting into an NBA where the center position is going to be pretty fucking important. At least being able to defend the center position is going to be very important. Even the Timberwolves, like, yeah, they have Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. You know what I'm saying? Like, they managed to have both of them, even though Karl Anthony Towns is a guy they should probably trade. They have a log jam going on. But there's a bunch of teams in the NBA where it's like what they've got going on for what they're trying to do simply doesn't work, right? And that's why I say centers are the most important position, because there's at least 3 teams in the NBA that have a center on their roster that doesn't really fit what they need or are trying to do. Karl Anthony Towns, okay, is playing power forward or point forward for the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's really a center. That's what he really is, but he's out there shooting fucking threes. He's been relegated to shooting threes and needs to go to another team in order for that team to actually function the way it's supposed to. Okay? Same thing with the New Orleans Pelicans. Okay? They have Jonas Valanciunas. Jonas Valanciunas, if he had his own team, would be a great player. Like, probably top 5 center in the NBA. And I can't believe I'm saying that, but there was a stretch couple years ago where Jonas Valanciunas was like the only healthy star player on the Pelicans. Brandon Ingram, I think, was injured. They didn't have CJ McCollum yet. Zion was injured, and they let my man's Jonas Valanciunas do his thing, and for like the first 10 or 15 games of the season, my man's was balling, okay? And I remember that because I had him on my fantasy team. But it's just the idea. They're another team. Then you have the Indiana Pacers, who are in a conundrum because they simply, not only do they have a center that can't do really what he needs to do, essentially, or can't do what the team needs him to do, but they also don't have anybody great at the 4. So it's like, yeah, we can keep Miles for now, but it's like, we're looking around the league, and it's like, just in the past couple drafts, look how we had 6 centers enter the NBA that are looking like they're going to be pretty promising. Derek Lively in this past draft, right? And then Victor Wembanyama was another one. All right, we had Chet Holmgren, Mark Williams, Jalen Duren, who else? Jalen Duren. Walker Kessler. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of centers entering the NBA now where it's like, if you can't at least defend the center position, it's going to be a problem. And that's why guys like Bam Adebayo and who else? Mark Williams. These guys who are like hybrid centers that are not only good at defending the paint but can defend the wing very well too, or the perimeter, are going to be high target guys. Like Mark Williams is like a bang down low, grab rebounds, dunk the ball type of guy. But when it comes to playing defense, mans can lock the fuck down. Okay, he blocks shots, he can catch lobs. He dunks the ball, he grabs rebounds, but not only can he defend the paint, but he's really good at defending the perimeter too, specifically mid-range jump shots, okay? So when people say centers don't matter, I just want you to understand they do matter, and they're slowly starting to matter more than you want to give them credit for. Like, a lot of people keep saying, oh, centers don't matter, Like, I keep telling everyone, my biggest gripe with Miles Turner is the idea that he doesn't bang down low, he doesn't grab rebounds, and the common response I get all the time is, well, he shoots threes. He shoots threes and blocks shots. That's all we need him to do. Not if you're a bad team like us. Okay? Not if you're a team like us where you're growing and you only have one star player. Yeah, if we had 2 other star players next to Tyrese Halliburton, yeah, fuck it. Miles Turner's fine. We don't need anybody else. But it's just the idea, the only guy we have right now is Tyrese Halliburton. We're waiting to see what Jarris Walker and Ben Mathurin become. But just the idea that, like, you think we're going to win a championship or go deep into the playoffs with literally only Miles Turner and Tyrese Halliburton, I gotta think you're smoking something hard, okay? Because you need to be able to defend the center position. The center position is going to become the most important position to take care of in the next 2 to 3 years in the NBA. If you can't take care of that center position, you're gonna get fucking killed, okay? Because we see what Jalen Duren's doing in his second year in the league. Mark Williams looks better in his second year of the league. Derek Lively already looks relatively good as a center for the Dallas Mavericks. Walker Kessler was in Rookie of the Year runnings last year. Okay? Like, Chet Holmgren is maybe the closest thing to Miles Turner to enter the draft right now. Since coming out of the draft, as far as like a 3-and-D guy. But even like Chet Holmgren, I would almost take Chet Holmgren over Miles at this point. But it's just the idea, it's like you got Victor Wembanyama who can do literally every fucking thing. So when it comes to that center position, okay, like especially if you're like the Indiana Pacers, Miles needs to either improve or you need to trade him to get somebody who can become the guy you need at the center position. Because I'm telling you right now, man, in the next 2 to 3 years, this just 3-and-D nonchalant bullshit is not going to work. And I think Miles is finally starting to realize that. This year, he's looking like a little bit of a more complete player. But I'm just saying, like, it sucks that we had to wait 9 years for him to become that. It sucks that, you know, money had to be put on the table or, you know, he had to have threats of being traded to another team, or even though he's been threats of him being traded have been happening for like 4 years now. But just the idea, it's like it's kind of sad that like when it comes to Miles Turner specifically, like it's almost like his job has to be on the line, or he's not getting that next big payday for him to really improve his game. And I feel like if Miles would have made any strides to improve his game in the past 8 years in the offseason, whether it was just work on one fucking thing, the Pacers would be a lot better off right now. So I don't know, man. You know, it is what it is, but it's just the idea. The center position is important, and I'm tired of people disrespecting it. So tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. A like helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more. I'm the Fast Break Report, and I'm out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.